All right, today we're going to deconstruct a really powerful philosophy on hiring. It comes from an internal manifesto, a source called CX25W. And look, it's just a few short sentences, but I'm telling you, this perspective might just completely change how you think about building a team.
So, to really get to the heart of this thing, we've got to start with what it isn't. Right off the bat, the source just throws a wrench into a core assumption that, let's be honest, most of us have about hiring. That's the opening line right there. We didn't build a recruitment firm. I mean, it's just 7 words, but man, do they carry a lot of weight. It just immediately makes you stop and ask, okay, if you're not a recruitment firm, then what in the world are you? It's such a brilliant way to set the stage for a totally different way of thinking. Okay, so let's answer that question, right? If it's not a recruitment firm, what did they build? Well, the source gives us a very, very specific and really powerful answer.
The language here is so interesting. You know, it's not about finding talent or filling seats. It's a risk-mitigated hiring framework. That completely shifts the goal, doesn't it? It goes from just, completing a task to actually managing an outcome. And those keywords, reduce uncertainty and increase probability, they frame hiring with the kind of seriousness you'd give to a major financial investment. But you see, this framework, it's not just a process or a bunch of steps. It's actually built on top of a really profound philosophical shift. It completely reframes the very nature of what it even means to hire someone. And here it is. This is the crucial point. The entire system, the whole shebang, hinges on rejecting one really common idea, that hiring is just a transaction, a simple exchange of your work for my money. The source basically says, nope, that view is fundamentally flawed. And this just lays it out so clearly, right? These two competing mindsets. On one side, you have the transactional view. That's all about a short-term need. I have a gap, I need to fill it, done. It's a simple exchange. But the new view, that sees it as a long-term investment, a really high-stakes decision where you're not just filling a role, you're fundamentally believing in a person's potential. And this is the central thesis. This is the heart of the entire philosophy right here. It's a long-term bet on humans. I mean, just let that sink in. Every single word in that sentence was chosen so carefully. So let's break down why. Okay, first up, long-term. That word immediately elevates the decision way beyond just next quarter's targets or the current project's deadline. It forces you to ask a much bigger question. What's the potential impact of this person on our organization in 1 year? What about 5 years from now? It frames the whole decision around commitment, growth, and a shared future. Now, that idea of a long-term commitment, well, that leads us right to the next word, bet. And look, this isn't about reckless gambling. It's actually a deeply honest acknowledgement that hiring is never a sure thing. I mean, let's be real, there's always uncertainty. So calling it a bet respects that risk. But it also, and this is key, it highlights the potential for a massive payoff. We're talking about a game-changing team member when you get that bet right. And finally, the whole phrase is anchored by the most important part of all, on humans. This makes it crystal clear that the bet isn't on some polished resume or a specific skill set that who knows might be obsolete in a few years. No. It's a bet on a human being, on their capacity for growth, their creativity, their potential to adapt. It completely reframes the candidate from just a collection of qualifications into a person you are truly deeply investing in. Okay, so if we accept this powerful premise, that hiring is a high-stakes, long-term bet on people, then there's a very logical, very practical conclusion that just has to follow, right? And there it is. And bets need better evaluation. That's the call to action. I mean, think about it. You would never make a significant financial investment without intense research and due diligence, would you? Of course not. The source is arguing we have to apply that same level of rigor to our bets on people. If the stakes are that high, then our methods for evaluating them have got to be just as serious. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it's a pretty simple 3-step shift in thinking. First, you just have to acknowledge that you're making a bet, not just filling a slot. Second, because it's a bet, you improve your process to evaluate potential, not just past experience. And the result? Well, you mitigate your risk, and you end up making fundamentally better hiring decisions. And really, that's where this whole philosophy leaves us, with one single, provocative question. And it's one for you to think about when you look at your own organization. It's worth asking, are you guys treating hiring like a simple transaction? Or are you truly, honestly evaluating your long-term bets on humans?